Lá.
Apertei. Vamos lá, deixa eu ver se funcionou. Hello, hello, testing.
Does anyone can hear us?
Okay.
Does anyone can hear me?
Oh,
Hey, good
okay.
evening.
I think they can hear us now. Yes? Okay. I got it okay for us here.
Nice.
Hello, everyone. Hi, hi, hi. All right. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm not going to go slow here on introductions, okay? Hi, everyone. Let me just see. I see a lot of faces I recognize here, and I appreciate you all coming to chat with us. Okay. As you all can notice, we have right here on my left or right, I don't know where it is, Rafael Souza, oh, Rafa. And I could not ask for a better person to help me here because I learned most of the things I know in this life from him, especially about art, but also about life.
Me too. Me too.
And he's a great mentor and master throughout my life since I started 3D. So every time I can poke him and say help me, he always helps. So I appreciate that, Rafa. For those of you who don't know, Rafael Souza, he is a tremendous one of the biggest masters in 3D that in my opinion. And he's also my absolute favorite teacher. He has developed throughout the years incredible methods of teaching 3D drawing, how to see things, how to think about life, everything. He's like a therapist, everything you need in one guy. That's him. Okay. So I asked him to be here with me just to make it more dynamic and fun. He also, sorry, my dog just jumped in. He also has a lot of experience with realistic sculpting. Not to say he doesn't do stylized. He does beautiful stylized projects, but he also has incredible knowledge on realistic sculpting, like what you would expect from Renaissance and classical sculptors. So it's nice because him and we kind of like contrast each other. And for those of you who ever took a class with me, my favorite word in the whole world is contrast, right? So a great thing for us, for him and I, is that we contrast very well each other. Me coming to the stylized spectrum, him from the realistic spectrum, and etc. So, Hafa, do you want to say anything before I continue? Do you want to say hi?
First, you made me so blush. Thank you very much. And second, hmm,
Oh yeah, need a perfume. Very important for the viewers.
now I'm ready. So we like a contrast. You talk about contrast. We like Walter White and Jess Pinkman.
Yes.
Who's going to be the Walter White here? I think I'm the Jess Pinkman.
Okay, I'll be the crazy scientist.
It's a pleasure being here. I love you, your art, and you taught me a lot as well.
Mm, okay. For those of you who don't know, also, we're both from Brazil, so you can see a little accent there, which is spicy, um, and spicy accent. um, and so yeah, for those of you who don't know me very well, I'm Leticia Gillett, and I work currently at Walt Disney Animation Studios. Previously, I worked at Netflix Animation, DreamWorks Animation, Blizzard, and Disney Consumer Products. That's been my career since I joined the US, since I came to the US. Prior to that, I worked with Raphael actually in the past in the school back where we lived long when we were very young and long time ago. So yeah. All right. So, what are we going to talk about today? As you all know, the title of this live is two things we're going to see today. First one is we're gonna dive in a little bit on some of my favorite concepts about design.
Mhm.
And me and Raphael, we're both gonna talk about it, and I have some images that we're gonna do some studies and etc. Second thing, exciting thing, is that I'm going to be opening spots for my mentorship. More about that. Okay. So imagine that about half an hour in of this live, we're going to start talking about the mentorship. So if you're anxious about that, hang tight. Let's do the lecture first, and then we can talk about the mentorship. Okay. Everyone good with that? So far, so good. Any questions? Type on a chat. Okay. We have Carol. She's moderating the chat. So, one thing. House rules. Okay. Let's ask
House rule.
questions. House rules. Let's ask questions that are related to the things we're talking about. Okay. So if we're talking about design, it will be interesting if you're asking questions about what we're talking about. Okay. So we don't get out of our path as much as possible. And when we're talking about the mentorship, you all can ask as many questions about the mentorship you want. Sounds good? Everyone good? All right. All right. Okay. All right. Should we jump in, Hafa?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Let me
ready.
share my screen. Okay. So share screen. I'm a bit slow. Hang in there. Okay. All right. Can everyone see my PRF here?
Oh, that's beautiful.
All
Lovely,
right.
lovely, lovely.
Amazing. Oh, hey, Hamid.
Hamid said amazing.
So many people here that I know. I wish I could just stop here and say hello, 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 but that's not what we're here for. All right, Gabriella. Oh, great to see you all. Okay, let's talk about design. All right.
Hmm.
We're going to talk about design. And like I said, Raphael here is to contrast me. You're going to see that a lot of things that I'm saying, focusing on stylized, they all apply to realistic sculpting as well. Correct?
Yeah, I'm here to disagree with you.
Okay, great. I'm glad. All right. So let's go through our laundry list here. All right.
Hmm.
And when we talk about design, right? First thing, anytime you're going to start a new project, the first thing for me at least, it's not actually reference. I put a reference here. But for me, a lot of it it's dreaming.
Hmm.
Let's say I'm gonna do a portrait, right? If let me get a reference here. Let's say this portrait I did, which is Jane Goodall. For those of you who don't know her, she is my hero. She's an environmentalist. And for example, when I was going to start this project, first thing I thought, okay, I want to say something that inspires me. Who is that person? Jane Goodall. So that was my first idea. Okay, Jane Goodall, something related to Jane Goodall, right? With that said, right away, not much more thinking about it, I just start collecting a ton of reference. Okay.
Perfect.
References what, Hafa? Photos, 2D drawings, anyone that drew her before, or any 2D drawings that inspire me to a certain style or some certain design language. 3D models, kind of like, oh, I like how they defined she's an older lady. So I looked at 3D models of older characters from movies and see, oh, how did they put it in the nasolabial fold? Did they put it in like crow's feet and all that stuff? Um, Not just reference for modeling, but also for lighting, right? Rafael
Hmm.
introduced me a lot to some of the images from what's his name, Hafa? The triangle light on the chin, on the cheekbone.
Rembrandt.
Hambra, exactly, Rembrandt. So when I took his class, he introduced a lot of the images from Rembrandt. And with that, I was like, okay, I want to do a bit more dramatic lighting. I want to give a little depth. And then I was like collecting reference from all the painters, especially Rembrandt, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of like, as you can see, it doesn't take too much, right? You have an idea. Your idea could be, oh, I want to share a cute moment between a kid and his dog. Okay, start collecting reference. Collecting reference is part of the process of clarifying your mind. What do you want to do? You start looking for photos, and then you type in kid with dog, and then you see a kid with the ice cream given to the dog, and you're like, oh shit, this is so cool, you know. So collecting reference is part of the creative kind of like, it's almost like the idea is blurred in your mind, and the when you're collecting reference of lighting, of drawings, is starting to sharpen the project in your mind, kind of thing, right? Do you do anything differently, Hafa, or do you add anything at this stage?
No, I totally disagree. As I said,
Great.
joking, joking. I loved when you said not exactly reference, but dreaming. Obviously, dreaming come before that. Dreaming defines you as an artist.
Yes.
Dreaming leads whatever the reference you're looking for. You're gonna look for on Google, whatever. Everything starts with a dreaming. I loved when you point that.
Yes. Exactly.
Sometimes you have a Google in front of you and you want to do something, but you need a dreaming first in
Yeah.
order to know whatever you're gonna look for.
Yeah. This is a process when you're wanting to try to tell your own story, right? Sometimes you
Exactly.
find a concept from a 2D artist, and you just try to honor that story, that dream from someone else, right? But when you want to create your own dream, you start from a dream. You know what I mean? You got a
Yes.
dream, you know. And my husband even laughs sometimes, because sometimes when I'm sculpting that dream, I think about the voice that the character is doing. I
Hmm.
think sometimes I'm sculpting, and in my mind, I try not to say it out loud so I don't look crazy. But in my mind, I'm like, what do you need? What is it? What are your hopes and dreams? What do you
Same.
do to watch TV? You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like I'm having a conversation while sculpting. If
Yes.
you live by yourself, you can say it out loud and it should be fine. But, anyways, having that dream, having that conversation all the time. What do you need? What are your ambitions? What do you do as a job? What do you do for a living? Those are all questions that when I'm sculpting, I'm asking my characters inside my mind, you know. So dreaming and reference, they almost support each other, right? Like I said, you start with the blurred canvas, and the reference is gonna start helping you to sharpen that canvas.
Hmm.
All right. Great. So I can give some examples on that. Um, I gave this example here with Jane, right? This character, for example, it was a dream that I wanted to make this skinny guy. He's a bit clumsy, and he looks very soft and nice. And he works for this LGBTQ um, burger place, and he's taking orders. So his clothes are very cool, kind of thing. And that started as a dream and evolved, a lot, to different things. As you can see, I have a pose here of him. Another dream was this priest, which I did on Raphael's class, which is kind of like, it's a very simple head, but I wanted somehow to give depth to his eyes, like he's seen stuff. He heard many things from people, all the goods and bads of humanity. So he has this kind of depth in his face, but he still has a little bit of a naive face as well, because he has his faith with him. So those are all nuances of storytelling, right? That someone might look and say, cool, but you know what you're telling, basically. One thing about Jane here that I can say also about dreaming is that Jane, for me, she is equal, symbolizes hope for the world. So what I try to do here is almost like a Mona Lisa smile, as you can see here. It's just a little bit of a smile to bring that hope and make her eyes very kind and profound, you know. And that's kind of like the little bit of storytelling that I'm adding there, you know. It's what she is to me: hope, light, care for animals, care for the planet, that kind of stuff. Okay. Okay, so I think any questions about the dreaming and reference, or we can continue. Does anyone have cut out if you saw any questions, or anyone wants to ask something about this particular stage of dreaming and reference? Or we can go ahead and to my favorite word, which is contrast.
Contrast. Lela.
But
Lela is just for friends, right?
Yeah, so Rafael calls me Lela, which is
Lela,
a nickname for Leticia, just so you all know. All right,
just for
continue.
friends, okay?
Just for friends, yeah,
Gonna
just for
be good.
family.
So every single fundamental you're gonna be pointed here has just one reason, guys. The story you would like to tell. I've been working hard for a couple of years, I think for 10 years now, to improve the way how I actually tell stories. I think the difference between the beginner and the intermediate level, intermediate artist, is a bunch of obvious things. Fundamentals like proportions, lighting, color, composition, gesture, facial expression, whatever. But the difference between what takes the intermediate level to a kind of advanced is just subtleties. Those subtleties are very difficult to understand, to see. It takes time. I think 3 years to get kind of intermediate level, and 20, 30 years to start to see things that has always been there. But somehow you see the reference, but something you always miss. And during the times studying a lot, you start to be able to see those subtleties. I think that is very important.
Yes. And what are you saying, Hafa? I like to call it the final 10%, right?
Yes,
Which is
yes,
like, right? It's basically the same. It's like a lot of people stay on the 90%, but the maturity of seeing things and those nuances that Hafa is saying, they all can come on the final 10%.
yeah. 10% is what separates
Yeah.
a nice art from a kind of incredible one, right?
Yeah. A great art that you look and you're like, God damn, you got inspired. You know what I mean? And that is something I'm not trying to promote my mentorship, but I am. That is something that you can get with mentors, right? Like, for example, I said I took Raphael's class. He was my mentor during the mentorship, and he helps you to see that 10% because you're so caught up on what you're doing and afraid of breaking and this and this. And the mentor, when they know what they're doing, they're going to help you get out of that comfort zone and push
Mhm.
you to those final 10%, basically, you know? And that's why mentorship, I love doing mentorship, taking classes, being a mentee, because it helps me always to break that barrier of the comfort zone and go beyond, you know? Cool. We have a question here. Do you guys sometimes let the dreaming phase bleed into other phases like reference gathering? 100%. They all this is completely a blurred line, meaning like this is all messy. It's not a straight line. Step one, step two. No, it's all
Yes,
like boom, 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 going back and forth like this.
yes,
You know, even when I'm sculpting, in a is phase of sculpting and doing lighting, sometimes I'm like, oh, it would be cool if I change the angle and put this object here because everything is it's an organic process, right? It's not linear at all.
yeah.
And
The
I think
pure F grows with your model as well.
yes,
You start
it,
with small pure F, just a couple of references.
and then it gets crazy.
Yeah, and then you get crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you draw anything at this stage, like your own concept art, in addition to reference that you collect? That's a great question, Therese. It depends. Some people are comfortable drawing, some people are not. My
Mhm.
example, I do very, very simple drawings. Sometimes I do no drawings and I go straight to 3D. And because of the way I created my process of working in 3D, the process is very much oriented to designing in 3D. You concepting with mass in 3D. I'm not concepting with lines in 2D. That was the way I discovered for myself because I'm much more comfortable inside a 3D mass than with 2D lines. Raphael, how do you go about it? I know you draw like a Renaissance master. Do you draw before, or do you like to just jump in 3D?
It depends.
It depends.
Sometimes I draw when I'm dreaming, as you said. But when I'm wondering, something that I love or see something, and I start to draw something, and then go to the 3D.
Hmm.
Sometimes I jump directly to the 3D. It
Yeah.
depends.
You
I
know,
don't have a
funny,
kind of rule or something like this.
like a rule,
It
right? And
depends.
it's funny you say that, Hafa, because I do draw a lot on top of my 3D. You know, so for example, if I open ZBrush right now, I have this model here.
Hmm.
Let's say that this model was not finished. Normally, what I do is, let's say I have a mass here or something. Oops, my PureRef's not working. Um, let's say I have a mass here and stuff, and then what I do, I get this little tool here, which is called Epic Pen. They have a free version. I highly recommend to have it because you can draw on top of your canvas here. Your whole screen is a canvas now. So very easily I can come here and start thinking, oh man, what if I try to do something? Or what if his ears was a little more, and you can draw. I'm drawing with my mouse, don't judge me. But you can draw and kind of think about it, or like, oh, maybe if his pupil was a little bigger. And you can kind of make notes for yourself. I do that a lot. I do not do a initial drawing, but I do draw on top of my model a lot. So there you go.
Hmm. Lela,
Wait,
Hamid said, I always want to tell my own stories and make my original designs, but some people recommended to make characters from 2D concepts because in a portfolio, they want to see if you can translate 2D to
to
3D.
3D. Perfect, perfect question, Hamid. Amazing.
Hmm.
Okay, this is a question I get a lot from people. The answer is there are two Hamids, right? There is Hamid that is trying to get a job, that is trying to get into the industry or already in the industry, but you want to go to a different company. And there is Hamid the artist, right?
Yes.
So the balance here is if you already not if you don't have a job yet, or if you're in a job but you want to jump to a different one, yes, focus on your portfolio. What people normally want from a modeler, let's say a studio like Blizzard, what do they want from a character artist? Someone that's going to get a concept from someone else and make the model, right? That's the job. Some companies are a bit more fluid. Some companies, they let you design a bit more. But if you think about the current structure of most big companies, if I'm hired as a modeler, I'm not hired to concept anything. I'm hired to get a concept and honor
Hmm.
that concept in 3D, right? But Hamid, the artist, that's you. That's you on your personal work. That's you telling your dreams. And don't underestimate of the power of your personal work on your portfolio. Okay.
Yes.
Every single, I'm not joking, every single interview that I went, DreamWorks, Disney, all the interviews, people normally focus more on my personal work because that's
Yes.
me. That's Leticia. That's
Exactly.
me being my own art director. That's me being my own modeler, my own boss, everything. So, a good balance between personal work, meaning dreams, your own dreams, and working with concepts so you can show that you can translate different kind of artist. It's a for me, it's the good combo for a good portfolio, in my opinion.
Nice.
What do you
Perfect.
think, Hafa?
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Exactly.
Yeah,
Totally agree with that.
yeah.
But let's talk about your favorite word,
Yes,
contrast.
my favorite word is contrast. Okay, why is that? Because
Explain to me.
contrast brings life to things. It breaks monotony. Not saying monotony is always bad, but contrast, especially for stylized, it creates so much life. It creates fantasy. It creates
Power, strength.
power. Yeah, exactly. And we can see even here, um, you can see this image right here, right? And what is going on here? We
Mhm.
have, let me make this a bit thicker here. We have Same distance here, kinda. Okay, a little more here, but let's pretend if I put this line down here that this was same distance, right?
Hmm.
The moment that I break this line and push it up, everything up, contrast. Now I have big, medium, small. If I do the same thing I did here, right? But I just stretch the nose. Again, not saying this is contrast too, but now I have a different kind of contrast, completely different, right? It's the same structure than this one, and I just elongated the nose, and I got a completely different vibe for a character. Don't you guys agree? Like this is completely different vibe than this, you know.
Hmm.
And this is just playing with contrast of shapes, playing with big, medium, small. All right. Um, I don't know why my tablet it's not working, but that's annoying. But if we think about it, very simple things. You only have here how many pieces? One, two, three, four, five. Remember when you were a little kid that you had little blocks and probably was like 5 to 10 blocks, and you can make so many different shapes, right?
Yes.
This is the same idea, right? You have these blocks and you can play with them to create different feelings, right? It's all about feelings. Why do I say feelings? Everyone here probably saw this before in their lives. But if we think about circle, I'm drawing my mouse, don't judge,
Hmm.
square, triangle, inverted triangle. All the shapes, they create different feelings for us, right?
Hmm.
If I put this all in a table, this two, this and this, feels the most stable shapes, right? You feel like you would have to move this table a lot for them to roll around. Where the sphere, not so stable, this one definitely not stable, very edgy, very insecure, right? Because I only have this little dot here to say, okay? So this is malleable, it's more fluid, it can roll, right? This one, if it falls, it will probably be like pop, right? The ball, it might roll. So just thinking about a table with objects, we can think about what those shapes makes you feel by moving the table, basically, right? So if I have a character, and I have an example here, let me get 1 second. Let me get this model. It's an old model, but it will do what we need here.
Hmm.
Okay, it's a very old model, but what is the primary shape here of this story, right? Let me see if my tablet will work. What is not working? 1 second. Get out of here. 1 second. Okay, what is the primary shape here of this story? It's a stable triangle, right? A lot of times people represent stable triangles as a structure of a family. You have your grandparents, your mom and dad, and then you have you and maybe a dog there on the top. That's the stable triangle, right? So on this story here, I wanted to create a feeling that this little family, which is a guy with his dog, it's a stable energy. One active energy. Again, we're talking about contrast here. Contrast. One active energy, singing, opening his heart. Another one, sleeping. Contrast actions, but they balance each other because of the family feeling, because they feel in sync. Just like me and Hafa, we're in sync, we're contrasted, we're in sync. Okay? So, a lot of contrast you can do on shapes, you can do on storytelling. Very important to think about contrast in storytelling, even thinking about in lighting, right? So, that is one example about contrast. You can think about in very simple shapes. You can think about it much beyond concepts like what I just said about storytelling. All right, contrast can be added to anything. Okay, just a little more about contrast here. You can see those portions. You see this little squares here. The more equal distance they are, the more basic they feel. The more you start breaking those things, you start getting interesting shapes. Not to say that this is not necessary. There's
Hmm.
some characters that it's important for them to be balanced as well. Because not everything needs to be whoa crazy. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. One cool thing, when I can't remember where I learned this, but I'm just gonna tell you guys. It's like I can think about some very basic shape like this. Let's do a basic thing here. I'm gonna do this, 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 and this. Okay. So I have two semicircles and I have two straights.
Mm.
If I wanted to contrast this shape, right? What could I do? I can do this, 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 and this maybe. It's the same principle, same parts. I have four parts. One, two, three, four. It's just playing with contrast. It's just thinking about, okay, what's the distance of this one with this one? Let me see what I can do. Can I make even better? Maybe I can make the opposite, a small one here, very big one like this. And then I have one line going in and one line here. Okay, these lines are two equal, not the greatest. Maybe I can push it all the way, this one, all the way here, make this one short and this one longer. What am I making? I don't know. I'm just training my brain for contrast because our brain by default wants to divide things for equal parts. It's comfortable. I don't know why. Half of you might know why, but I just know that it's something that it's comfortable for the brain just to take a shape, divide in half, and then divide this half. It's just comfortable. So for us to get here to contrast, we need to intentionally force our brains to see it, see those things, to experiment with those things. Okay. Okay. Um, silhouette. Silhouette. Anything about contrast, Hafo? Or any questions?
Contrast can be anything. Silhouette,
Yes, silhouette. Contrast
as well as
inside the silhouette, right?
yes, can be colors, can be two
Yes.
characters together.
Story, contrast of
Story,
characters, right? You have a
yes,
weak, you have a strong one, but the
yes.
weak one is all like, I'm gonna carry it. And then the strong one is like smelling roses. All of this
A
is
hero and his sidekick, they can
sidekick,
be
exactly.
different, right?
Contrast everywhere. Look for contrast because your brain, by default,
You say
just
soft and sharp.
yes, soft and sharp, right?
Variation is a contrast.
Variation is contrast. Soft and sharp is contrast. So everything here basically relates to contrast. Contrast,
Yes,
that's why contrast. And I'm gonna make it like contrast. Ooh, trust. I'm gonna leave like
yes,
that.
nice.
Okay? Because this is for me everything. Everything else comes from it. Okay, in my opinion. And I was just gonna see for silhouette, just show me here how you can simplify things playing with the silhouette. I like to activate silhouette in ZBrush. And for those of you who don't know, in ZBrush you have this little window, silhouette window here. You can click and drag and make it bigger. Check it out. And you can see what's going on there. So if I take this character, for example, I want to check his profile. I love doing
Mhm.
this. I make this window big and I check what's going on, if I have action on my lines and all the good stuff. So silhouette here in ZBrush, it's a must for me. I'm always having very big like this because I want to check everything. Okay. Douglas said, so breaking the even adds contrast, right?
Yes,
Correctly.
correct.
Correct. Okay. Breaking
Lela,
the
can you come
even.
back to the guy with the piano, please?
With the guitar, you mean?
Yeah, with the guitar. I'm sorry, with
Okay,
the
yeah.
guitar.
Here we go.
You see, he's looking to my right hand side, and the dog. You see?
Yep. There's that too. He's looking this way. The dog is looking, not
Yes,
looking. He has his eyes closed, but
yes.
it's
But the head
opposite
is
force.
pointing in the opposite force. Yes,
It's like a yin and yang. That was
yes,
the
yes.
idea of my
Perfect.
piece, basically. It's a yin yang kind of vibe. And yin yang is what? It's contrast, right? So, um, cool. Let's see what
Nice.
else. How we're doing on time. I think I'm gonna speed up some stuff here, but the important stuff we talked about, okay? Everything inside silhouette, inside mastery is process. This is something I'm going to talk a lot about in my class. I learned this from a guy called Ryan Kinsley, and he talks a lot about of when you create a process, you get closer to mastery, right?
Hmm.
Because there are two things. There is muscle force, where you just like, let me see if I can find it. That's
Get
kind of like,
sweaty.
yeah, you get sweaty and you're like, ah. That is muscling through. That is very tiring, okay? But there is mastery through process. And process is what? It's with intention, understanding, oh, if I put together these five pieces, I can make any shape I want, right? It's thinking smart. It's understanding stages that's gonna make you feel more creative because you have a system. You have a way of getting to the final line, basically. Okay. That's very important. Okay. Um soft versus sharp. I'm gonna just show a very quick example, which is on this model. This model here, you guys can see that I could have marked the whole zygomatic arch here, the whole bone, and connecting right here, all as one simple line, same thickness, right? But, and I learned this from Hafa, the brain connects the dots. Okay, if I draw this to you, I'm gonna do exactly what I learned from him. If I draw this, what do you see here? You see a triangle, right? I didn't have to draw it completely for you to see a triangle. Your brain connects the dots. And connecting the dots, it's the beauty of nature. A lot of things happen that way. So when you let the viewer connect the dots and not do a line all the way down here, and then this line goes all the way up here, and then this line comes all the way here, you start creating this elegance that exists in nature. Right, Hafa?
Hmm.
You have more to say about that because you're good at that stuff.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah,
I think it's the balance between
yeah,
sharp curves or soft
yeah,
corners or rounded shapes. I think the balance is the key for that.
yeah. So you have sharp
And each character, each
versus
style demands a different balance. Each
something different.
it
Exactly.
depends of the story you want to tell. Again, right?
So I have very sharp here where it touches the
Yes,
bone, right? Right about here. The moment it starts going down, the brain connects the dots.
yes.
Same thing here. I have the nasal labial fold here. The
Hmm.
brain connects the dots to
And
everything,
then you, okay,
right?
yes,
So that is very much elegance. You guys probably seen models where everything's sharp or everything's soft. And again,
yes.
what is our favorite word? Contrast. If you
Contrast.
have a balance of that, if you have a balance of straights versus curves, right? You get that contrast on your shapes. You playing with that stuff. Okay. So I have here, for example, we could think of like, I have a straight line here, I have this curved line here, right? And then I have a little curve here that goes down all curvy in this side. Here I have a straight, then I have a very basic curve, curved here. All of this play of straight and then a little curve and then a straight again and then a curve like this, dot, dot, all starts creating contrast. Okay. So,
Yes, sometimes you have a line that becomes a volume and then come back to a line. The nasolabial that you showed that
mhm,
comes from the nose and go all the way around the mouth
right.
to the chin. So it yes, it starts as a line, and then around the mouth you can see it becomes a volume.
Yeah, volume.
Yes,
And
and
then it
then
goes back to line. Yes,
goes back to line.
exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
So that's
beautiful.
thinking very 3D. It's going beyond, right? The feeling
Yes.
of 2D. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Grace said, "Do you guys model characters in T pose first and then pose it just directly model in pose shape?" I have a model here to show about that. So I have this little girl.
Hmm.
This is me as a kid. Look at I'm up. And I do have, I'm going to put her here and I'm going to put the T pose here. Okay. So to answer your question, Grace, and I think Hafa is going to say the same, it depends.
It
You know,
depends.
it depends. Depending on the project, if the pose is very dynamic, sometimes I rather uh, do it in pose because
Yes.
when you do it asymmetrical, there's something about it that is just, it has a nice taste. It just feels more alive, right?
Hmm. Yes. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm doing a basic pose like this one, which is, if you think about it, her head's a little down. I put her hand here, choo choo. Very basic kind of pose here. I normally do a working T pose as long as I can, so I can, of course,
Yes.
use symmetry. And then later I break that symmetry to go to pose. Okay.
Hmm.
This
Perfect.
model here, which I already showed, but I'm going to show it again. This model here, I model in pose already because I wanted life. I didn't want to feel that it was. So I model in pose, but I did have the same hands, and then I just pose them later. But the body, I model in pose already. So again, it depends. A lot of times, like I said, if it's a more action pose or something, I do it in pose already, basically.
Yes.
Um, all right. I think we have about a few more minutes more, but things that you guys can take a screenshot of this or whatever you want, but there's some words here that we can do a whole 3-hour classes about, right, Hafa?
Hmm.
Which is energy, directionality of things, the
Mm.
flow of life. Storytelling, we already talked about, which is very similar to dreaming, right? But being true to your story, to the dream that you created. Simplified, this is a lot for depending on what kind of design language you want to do. You can see that this bunny is
Mm.
very simplified shape, right? Very tickle, very chibi. And you can see that this has a little next level of complexity and that you can feel of storytelling and flow and all that stuff. So every time I'm going to start a project, I also like to think like on the spectrum of stylization. Let's say icon, I like to call icon, which would be something very simple. And here you have realistic, real. Maybe mid stylized would be here, so I'm going to say stylized. Okay. So normally when I start a project, I like to think like where on this spectrum I am.
Hmm.
Am I gonna go more around here and make this bunny? Am I gonna go around here or here? Well, I guess here to go here to this one. Or I'm gonna go here and do something like my Jane Goodall portrait that I did that's somewhere in the back there. I like to think about that. And sometimes it changes. Sometimes this model here, for example, I was going way more simple. And then I start feeling the need to add detail and to add a little more to the model. And then I
Perfect.
start going this path a little more. But that's something I like to think about when I'm dreaming as well. And that happens a lot by inspiration. Sometimes I just watch the movie and I'm like, wow, that style is so cool. I'm gonna try to see something in that range, or I'm reading a little comic or a piece of life type of comic, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so cute. I'm gonna try something like that. Or you can just try to challenge yourself. If you're someone that does very realistic stuff, jump right here, see what happens. Challenge yourself, go for it. Uh, how do you go about Hafa?
Exactly. The style depends of the story you want to tell,
Yes.
obviously, but the
Hmm.
process not rigid, as you said.
Yeah.
Sometimes you start a little bit stylized, and then it becomes a little bit more detailed. It depends of the story you would like to tell, and you will figure out that story during the process as well.
Yes. And that, like I said, things evolved. Sometimes I'm like, oh, this model is actually asking for a bit more detail. And then I go there and add it and see what happens, right? Which comes
Yeah,
to
it,
this
it
war.
needs to be. very intimately involved, as you said.
Yes. Which comes to one of my favorite things,
Iteration, yes.
iterations, right? 3D artists don't like to iterate. We don't like it because it's not as simple as, oh, let me draw on top of this and see what happens, right? We have to move things and then it gets mushy and whatever. Break that. Break that inside your heart. The more you allow yourself to experiment and iterate in 3D, the better designer you're going to be. Because the difference of us 3D artists with the 2D artists is that they allow themselves much more to iterate storytelling, shapes, etc. And 3D people, for some reason, because probably as a job we try to match a concept, we're not stimulated to experiment as much,
Hmm.
right? So you gotta bring that to your own life, to your own
Hmm.
personal time, right?
Perfect.
So duplicate the tool inside ZBrush, move things around. If you don't like it, throw it away. Go back to the tool
I do
before
that all the time.
all the time, right, Hafa?
All the time. I duplicate the two, make some changes, and then come back. Sometimes it gets better, but when you come back, you see, although it's better, you missed something,
Yeah,
and then you try to understand what you missed.
yeah.
Although you like more the second model you've done, but something you
What
missed.
happened?
Sometimes
Yeah,
a corner, sometimes a kind of stylization, or something about a proportion or the silhouette, whatever. And it's lovely because then you can blend those
yep.
ideas, right?
It's a learning thing, right? It's not necessarily that the next one's gonna get better, but you're gonna learn by allowing yourself to break what you did before, right?
Yeah, it's a kind of alchemy, right?
Yeah. It's like this model, right? I could be like, oh, wait, let me see if I did this, what happens, right? Oh, maybe not, maybe halfway. Oh, okay.
Yes.
How about if I go and did a very fluffy tail and start inflating here and see
Oh,
what
that's
happens,
beautiful. Let's
right?
see.
That's great. Okay, let's keep forward. That's the kind of mentality that 2D artists train and we don't do it as much.
And do not afraid to do that, right? You
Yes.
can, save the project before. You can,
Save a
duplicate a
tool.
sub tool. You can
Yeah.
save the tool. You won't
And
lose anything.
you won't lose
Just
anything. And I'll tell you
yes.
this, great things
There is
happen.
no risks. It
Yeah.
is not marble.
Great things happen when you start allowing yourself to experiment as a 3D artist because you truly starts to design. You start
Yes.
to think for your own. You're not looking at someone's drawing. You're thinking, oh, on this character, if I wanted to make him stronger, what could I have done? Oh, maybe if I taper, or I could make the neck like this. Oh, okay. And how about if to balance something, I push this in or push this out, like something like that. They created this more let me get my thing here. Created this more dynamic shape like this. So all of this, it's you talking with your model and trying things. There's no other way. You're
Hmm.
not gonna. There are some people. Oh yeah, they try something looks great, but I'll tell you that's not my experience. I have to move things around a lot to be able to get somewhere. You know. And if you're like me, you gotta learn to iterate, duplicate, experiment. Okay. All right. I think we're hitting the time to start talking about how are you all doing, by the way. Um, Elisa said, I do that a lot for poses as well. Hi, Elisa. Duplicating and testing. Yes, poses. We're not used to do dynamic poses. So it's very important to duplicate and say, what if I try to make this more intense? Or if I try to force a way
Hmm.
of flow? All
Perfect.
of that, it's with iteration. There's no other way. Or you're going to do stiff stuff,
Hmm.
you know, stiff things. So you got to break that out of your mind. I think we cover a lot of things. I have a lot of cool stuff here, that, oh my gosh, is so much inspiration. Like Andrea Blasish is one of my favorite sculptors of all times. And he has such a great design balance and he matches perfectly designs. So I highly recommend check out his work as well.
Pure contrast, right?
Yeah, pure contrast, no joke. All right. I think that's it. If you guys don't have any other questions, if you guys don't mind, I would start talking about my mentorship. Now that we talked about a lot of things that we will talk in more depth into the mentorship. One last question here. I see Melissa said, should dies only sharp lines only be in the areas where we have bones? Not necessarily, but it's a good start. I would
Good
say,
start.
right?
Clothes as well.
Yeah, it's
For
a good
clothes,
start. Like,
accessories. Yes.
yeah, I normally when I'm trying to mark some sharps, I go where the bone structure hits a little more, like
Hmm.
the bridge of the nose, zygomatic bone, and all the chin. Right, they all touch much closer. Not so much here, right? You can add sharps to your cheeks, but because of muscle definition, not because of bone structure, right? All right, last question before we start the mentorship. Fine. Driss or Dries said, fine. But what about when the artist has a well defined style? How and when is a good point to start thinking about designing 3D style like yours? A 3D style. So you're saying you have a style in 2D? Let me read that again. What about when the artist has a well
Yeah, I didn't get his points
style?
as well.
How and when is a good point to start thinking about designing a 3D style like yours? If I understand correctly, you're saying like someone has a style, right? And you're trying to match that style. Is that what you're saying? I don't know if that's. If you want to type again so I can understand the Karo, if you could put it up there. Okay. All right. Let's close the lecture part. And I'm going to talk now. All this stuff that we've been talking, again, I'll be covering in much more depth in the mentorship. So let me pitch my mentorship to you guys. And I'm very excited about this because I love portraits and I created something that I love, which is 3D stylized portraits course with mentorship. All right. I love making portraits. I love making heads, sculpting heads. It's one of my favorite parts to sculpt. So I thought, oh, it would be cool to create a course that it was portraits, called portraits, where we can just do a bunch of studies of heads. And at the end of the class, we can have one or two very nice portraits of a story, right? Of a dream that we're going to have together. Okay. How will it be? Limits to only 8 students tops. Okay. Why? Why only 8? Because it's a mentorship as well. I'm going to be critiquing everyone's work for about 15 to 20 minutes. So I want this to feel like a boot camp kind of feeling where we're very small group going through the uncomfortable to create amazing dreams together. So I didn't want to put a lot of students spots because of that. This is not the last mentorship I'm going to do. This is the beginning of mentorships with 3D Enjoy, which is my own brand, right? It's my own class. So 8 students only, intimate. We're going to be like on each other's business, pushing each other out of the comfort zone. All right. The structure will be on the weekends. So Saturdays, we're going to have feedback sections. So everyone, we're going to share together, the 9 of us, me and 8 students. We're going to share together time and we're going to pick on each other's models. We're going to be trying to pass those 90% and get to that 100, like Raphael said, trying to get to that great process, not a good model, a great model, right? And not just about the modeling, but the story as well, the dream, right? We're going to have 3 hours of lecture on Sunday. So Saturday's feedback, Sunday just study. And then until the next weekend, you guys have by yourselves, but not by yourselves really, because we're going to have a Discord channel where you can all help each other throughout the week to make the homework of that weekend. Okay. So let's say I'm going to give you guys on the first week, I need 20 heads, 20 block out heads.
Nice.
So you guys can schedule on Discord to meet together, to look for reference. Again, like every time I teach and people build community, great things happen because one helped the others. Like, oh, I'm not feeling very well to sculpt today. Come on, man, just do 2 heads, just do 2 heads, and then you go to sleep. This kind of stuff. So we're gonna Carol is going to be managing the Discord channel where everyone's going to have things to think about, and it's going to be interactive and you guys can help each other. All right. Each student's going to get about 15 to 20 minutes of feedback, and everyone watches everyone feedback. Why is that good? Because you're not learning just about your model. You're learning about your model and 7 models more, right? Because everyone is doing different things. So you learn so much watching feedback from other people. Every week, there will be a homework expected to be achieved throughout the week for review. And I'm gonna go intense on you guys, okay? Whoever decides to do the class, get ready to do some homework because I want you guys out of your comfort zone making crazy good shit. All right? Next thing is the length of the course will be for 6 weekends, okay? So a month and a half, 6 weekends, Saturday, Sunday, 3 hours each day. A Discord channel will be created to support the community. Like I said, the student will get all current classes that I have on 3D Enjoy. So if you never bought any of my classes, if you get to the mentorship, you get all for free. If you already bought, thanks so much because, I'm a struggling artist like all of you. So so if you bought it, great. I can give it to you the code. Oh yeah, I can give it to you the code and maybe you can give it to a friend for free. That could be fun. It's always nice to give fun things for friends. Students will get the final recordings of the class. So every class we have every week, I'm going to record it, and you guys will have that record to study throughout the week. Okay. And we're going to also edit at the end of the class all those videos so it feels prettier, and you will have those recordings as well at the end of the class. All right, let's go through this. Week 1, just gonna say a few things. We're gonna talk a lot about dreaming, a lot about storytelling, collecting reference, and basic anatomy of the head, right? Basic block out, basically. All right. Week 2, we're gonna do a quick review every week, and week 2 is all about design. So we're gonna go in depth about all those concepts of designs. We're gonna talk about nose, ears, eyes, and mouth, all the secondary shapes. Okay. Some technical stuff inside ZBrush like Dynamesh, Zero Mesh, how I like to do that process. Again, remember, mastery is process. So I'm going to give you guys my process so you can feel comfortable to make your dreams in a process manner. So I've been working in this industry for almost 15 years now. And I created a certain process that I'm going to give it to you guys so you guys can feel entitled to just create and not be caught up like, oh, my Dynamesh, my polygon. No, none of that. We're going to go through it.
Lala, which is going to be the exercise for the first week?
The first week is going to be basically a ton of head blockouts.
Nice, with different proportions, right?
Different
you're gonna play
proportion.
with the a sphere with the for the forehead, another for the jaw, and the
Yeah.
other for the nose and the
Yeah. Basically, like I have
ears.
here, I can show you guys like
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah,
many different shapes here.
not
Check it out.
proportion, but the style as well.
Style, proportion. You can guys
Yeah,
go much beyond what I'm showing here.
oh,
Okay, this
that's
is just
lovely.
week
That's
1.
lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've done this exercise.
that's right.
Yeah, I attended your class, for guys who doesn't know. So I'm testimony.
Yeah, and you did. I go show what you did on my class after this.
Yes. Right.
Week 3, very fast. We're gonna talk about a lot about like some principles of caricature because a lot of
Mhm.
caricature is adding contrast in the right places, right? Is
Yes.
looking at someone and seeing this distance is looks like 1 millimeter less. Boom, let's emphasize
Then
it,
the average, right?
yeah, let's make it crazy. So caricature principles are great for stylization, and we're gonna dive in a little bit inside that. We're gonna talk about hair, brows, lashes, blocking out some props. Maybe your portrait, your character has like I did on Jane Goodall. He has a scarf, or he has earrings, or he has a hat, different kind of hair. All of that we're gonna see on week 3.
Hmm.
Week 4, we're going to zoom in our model and start cleaning and making those soft and sharps. All of the good stuff here. If you guys look here, We're gonna look, this be soft? This should be sharp. What is the transition? Again, this is like that 10% that makes something like, you know? So we're gonna refine our poly paint. And like I said, here is the final 10%. That's where I'm gonna be poking you guys. Like, this needs to be clean. Is this straight or is it curved? It cannot be wobbly.
Hmm.
It can sometimes, but not normally. Week 5, let's go to marmoset. Let's render. We also gonna render. It's not just about sculpting. We're gonna put lighting. I'm gonna talk with you guys about lighting, how to import textures and color to a model, lighting setups for storytelling, lighting model for presentation. Because sometimes you want to do one piece that is a storytelling, but sometimes you want to light just to show a good model, right? So those are all different kinds of light rigs that we can use, right? One one thing that I learned, and I can't remember where from, that I love is this phrase: form is perceived by light. Especially on 3D, right? We can touch it. The only way we can perceive form is through light, right? So if you model something great in ZBrush, you use a Mech app, and you go to Marmoset and you do a shitty lighting, you're gonna do your model a disservice, right?
Hmm.
So we have to
Perfect.
care for lighting. We have to care of how our forms are being perceived. Okay. So
Yes.
we're gonna week 5 is just lighting and textures. Okay. Last but not least, week 6, presentation, final critiques, final thoughts. Everyone cry, we hug, and we're better people after. Hopefully, and better artists, of course. Um, that's kind of the structure of the course. Okay. Before I go to the next slide, I just want to know if anyone has any questions about this stage.
Lela,
Wait,
Rodrigo Wolf is a Brazilian. He said,
Rodrigo Danado.
to the artists willing to become a 3D artist are allowed to the class. He's a 2D artist, but mm,
Yes, Rodrigo. Rodrigo is my teacher also. He teaches me 2D. And
nice.
yeah, yeah, I've been trying to get better in 2D, and he is my teacher. Um, Rodrigo, yes, but no at the same time. Why? I want people in this class their decent basic knowledge of ZBrush. So if you do not know ZBrush, do not get my mentorship, because there is no intro to ZBrush class here. So if you feel comfortable with the basics, you don't have to be pro in
How
ZBrush.
much he needs to know? Give me an example to
I
be
would say you
clear.
feel comfortable already to do some sculpts. You know how to use some of the brushes. You feel comfortable inside the UI. You don't need to know, like, oh, I want to use nano mesh and all that crazy stuff. No, that doesn't matter. What want you to know that, okay, I know the basics of ZBrush. I can get into it, and then I'm gonna teach you guys some extra things inside ZBrush, of course. You know, but if you zero in ZBrush, do not take my class, because you not gonna have time to learn and do all the homework and things at the same time. Okay.
Lela, just for example, imagine if Rodrigo go and search on the internet, go on YouTube and find some basic videos of ZBrush and start to study ZBrush for about a month,
Mm-hmm.
learning the UI, learning how to create a sphere, delete subtools, create a subtool, merge subtool, the basic tools of ZBrush for a kind of month, training a little bit. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think it's gonna be enough, or
um
he should have more
yeah, that it's up to the
experience?
person. I would say, like, if you like, I'm gonna take this class and I'm gonna do a lot of homework, a lot of studying during the week, sure. But if you're like, oh, I have to work all week, I only have 1 hour, and I have to learn the software and learn while Leticia is teaching, probably you need a little bit more time. you know
Hmm.
I would say, like, if you've done a few sculpts in ZBrush, you probably know the basics, so you're good to go. But if you don't feel comfortable doing some basic things, you're not gonna take what's best of the class. I would say
Mhm.
it's better for you to study a little more and maybe enter a intro to ZBrush class, and then next time we do a mentorship, you can get in and take the best of it. Um,
Nia Coffer
yeah, go ahead.
have a
Hi,
question.
Nia.
What month does this start?
All right, let's go to that then. Okay, next slide. Next slide is requirements. Basic knowledge ZBrush, we already explained that, all right? Another requirement is that whoever wants to do the mentorship, you need to send a portfolio. Portfolio, guys, I'm not saying you have to be in the industry, nothing like that. The only thing I want to see is some images in ZBrush so I can see that you know the basics of ZBrush. Again, that's for your own good because I don't want you to be on a class where you cannot keep up with the pace. So, looking at your portfolio, I'm not looking if you know design, if you know anatomy, nothing like that. What I want to see is that, okay, I can see that if this person did this, they know the basics of ZBrush. The portfolio review is just for that. It's not for me to judge your art. It's just for me to say, I think this person's going to take everything they can from this class, or I'm going to email you back and say, hey, doesn't seem like you have any ZBrush models, so I would recommend to study ZBrush. Again,
Mhm.
I'm not judging your art, I'm not judging your taste. I just want to make sure that you don't enter a class where you cannot keep up. That's all.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure you know ZBrush. That's the truth. Okay. When is that? If we close the 8 students by the 16th, we will start this month on the 16th. If we might need to pass this a few weekends if we're waiting to close the 6 to 8 students. So if from now to a few weeks from now we have all the 8 students, we'll start on the 16th. If we need to wait a little bit just to get a few more students, we might have to wait 1 more 2 weeks, but not much more. If about 2 weeks after we did not close it and we have, I don't know, 4 students, we're gonna do the four of us. We're gonna all make a circle and go together. Okay?
Lela,
Wait,
uh, Bomba Leila, Bamba Leila said,
Bambalela.
"Hi, should the portfolio contain portraits, or it can be mainly about creatures? What do you think?"
Your portfolio can have anything as long as it has something that was made in ZBrush, and I can see like, okay, this person used ZBrush before. That's all I want to know. If you have creatures, if you have trees on ZBrush, if you have rocks on ZBrush, it's just for me to know if you have basic knowledge of ZBrush.
So if you feel comfortable with the tool, you're good to go, right?
You're good to go. You don't have to know anatomy. You don't have to know design. All of that we're going to talk about in class, okay? The first 2 weeks is just about thinking about bone structure, muscle structure, fat structure of the face and neck. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot in depth about some aspects of anatomy to do stylized. So we're not going to go crazy like, like Raphael goes, where it's like crazy anatomy. No, but we're going to see what's necessary for you to feel free to create any level of stylization. Okay.
It is okay to have 2D. The question is from Theories. It is okay to have a 2D and 3D character art in a portfolio. I'm mostly a 2D artist who wants to up my 3D this summer.
I've done some ZBrush before though.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, yes.
If you feel basic in ZBrush, that I don't need to tell you like, oh, have you seen, do you know how to use the gizmo? No. Do you know how to duplicate something? No. Then you don't know the basics, right? But again, if you know the basics of ZBrush, you in, okay? You
But
you game.
she asked if it's okay to have 2D and 3D
Yes.
works, I think, on your portfolio. I go to your art station and see 2D pieces as well as 3D ones.
Yes,
What do you think
that would
about
be
it?
awesome. If you
Good.
if you
Yeah.
feel comfortable in 2D, it's gonna make you grow so much faster. Rodrigo, which is my teacher, my 2D teacher, he took my class to learn 3D, and he's already a better 3D artist than me. Okay, I'm gonna be honest because he studied so much design in 2D that when he got to walk in 3D, he was running. you know, that's everyone has his own journey, right? My journey, I'm a bit slower Some people are faster, and it doesn't matter because it's not about them, it's about you and your life, right?
Yes.
All right. I don't know if Carol already put the link somewhere, but we will give the form link if you. Okay, how much? Everyone wants to know always, right? Considering that it's a 3 hour feedback mentorship plus 3 hour class plus the support on Discord and email, all the videos you guys gonna get at the end, and all the classes for free that you're gonna get, we came to a conclusion of 1,500. Okay, 1,500. That can be divided in two parts, so you can do installments of in two, so 700, 700, or you pay all at once 1,500. Okay, 1,500. um that's the price we got. Only if you do the class you will see the value. Okay, the idea, me and Raphael, we're both teachers for a long time, and I learned that from him, watching him as a teacher, is that we always give more than people think they deserve for the price, because we are that kind of teachers. We give all we got because we love what we do. I love seeing people grow and go crazy and get out of their comfort zones and fly. And we do everything we can when we teach to do that. And I learned from him. I also learned from Felipe Udson. I don't know if he's here, Hudson. They both were always like that. They gave everything they got. So I don't want to be a salesperson here, but some people can say it's an expense. Some people can say it's an investment, right? When I buy classes, in my mind, my mindset is I'm investing on my future. That's all I'm going to say, okay? I don't like to talk about money, but just know that I give it all on these mentorships. And there's some people here probably that took mentorships with me before. If you did take mentorship with me before, please say on the chat, she gave it all or not. Okay. Say what you please, but I promise you, that's how I roll. I learned that from my masters, including Raphael. Okay.
No, I learned a lot from you. A lot. By the way, I've taken your classes as well. Lovely. I've learned a
Yeah,
lot
let me
about.
show what you made before I go to the next slide here, just so people can see. He took a class that he was a full character, and like I said, Raphael does this kind of crazy shit. Okay, uh, where is the other piece? I love this one. He does this kind of storytelling. Okay, crazy, and this is old. What he's doing
This is
now,
me.
it's much be. Oh, yeah, this is
It's
you.
me. Yeah, it's my portraiture. Yeah.
And he got out of his comfort zone and went right into stylization and did just amazing. All of this on my class. Okay. So, anyways, he's a master. But
Uh,
um that's what it is. Let me go back to the slides. So,
Adriana said, "Guys, her class is the best." Elisa said the same thing.
oh,
Let me
thank
see.
you, Dri. Thank you, Lisa.
Kylie
Oh,
Tam. Letitia's
Kylie.
classes are life changing.
Thank you. Yes.
Worth every penny, Adriana said.
Nanji, Nanji. I see you all here. Um, yes. So I'm so excited because I think we're all gonna learn so much and have so much fun. If you're interested on joining, send your portfolio using the form. So Caro, if you could put the link of the form on the chat here. And also, for those of you who missed the link here, we're gonna also post on Instagram, okay? So it's a Google form. You just need to fill out certain things. Put your portfolio. Again, guys, I'm not judging anyone's portfolio. The only thing I want to know if you know the basics of ZBrush. All right. So if you have one thing that you did in ZBrush and a bunch of drawings or whatever, I'll be able to tell. Okay. And be honest with yourself. If you feel like I know the basics of ZBrush, you have nothing to lose here. Okay. Um, So fill out the form. This we're accepting applications until this Friday. Okay, so you guys have today's Tuesday. You have until Friday to submit the portfolio. You don't need to organize a portfolio. I'm going to say one more time. I'm not judging your art. I'm just checking if you know ZBrush. That's it. Okay. Please only send if you are considering to really take the class, because I'm going to take my time to look at your portfolio and stuff. And if you don't want to take the class, don't do it. Okay. That's simple. All right. I see that Carol posted the link there for the Google Docs. All right. You have until Friday to do whatever you need to apply. The application starts coming, and we're gonna look. If I feel like you have what it takes, the basics of ZBrush, you're gonna get an email back saying, okay, you know the basics of ZBrush. Are you ready to start a new journey? And then we're gonna send you to start the class, or to apply for the class. Okay. If by any chance you apply with the portfolio that only has 2D art, no 3D or something, I might email you back saying, hey, do you have any 3D so I can judge if you know the basics of ZBrush? Okay. I just want to make sure you get what you deserve from the class. And the pace is fast, and we're going to do a lot. So if you don't know the basics, it's going to be hard on you. And I don't want that for you. That's basically it. Okay. I hope you guys understand that part. All right. Any questions about the mentorship?
Lela,
Hmm.
Therese said, let me see, how frequently do you plan on hosting these mentorships in the future in case we don't get in this time?
Yes. The idea, I don't know very well yet, but I'm thinking at least 2 or 3 times a year. I'm hoping to do mentorships, but it all depends on the flow of life. That's what I'm gonna say. So, um, once a year at least I do some kind of mentorship. Like last year I did one for in Portuguese, which is the language we speak in Brazil. I did one in Portuguese. This year I decided to do one in English to make a bit more international, give chances to other people that always ask me, hey, when are you going to teach in English? And I'm only teaching in Portuguese. So this time I decided to go broad and go international. um so at least once a year I do it, but I'm feeling like I want to do maybe twice a year if possible.
But Lela,
Bro.
there is a phrase in Portuguese here in Brazil that says opportunity is a thing that has hair on a front
Uh-huh.
and it is bold on a back.
That's right.
Sometimes you miss if you try to
Sometimes
take
you
it.
do miss. I missed many
Yes.
opportunities of that I
Don't,
wanted to take of mentorship.
yes. Don't miss
Oh
the
man.
opportunity.
Yeah. Broke is here. Broke is one of she took a class with me. Hey Broke, love your work. Would it be possible to push sculpts to include elements like Ashgen, Light, and Light Marvelous, like Jen Goodall sculpt? Or do you want us to stick in ZBrush Marmoset? Not at all. If you're a 3D artist and you want to take a model during the week, go to Maya, do a retopology, come back, add XGen. You can fly, baby. Like I said, like I normally use ZBrush, Maya, a little bit of Blender, XGen. So there are certain things that you guys might know how to do that I can support on that as well. Okay. There's certain things I do not know. And then you're gonna have to fly it by yourself on that angle. But um yes, and Brooke, by the way, she took my class and she's amazing look dev artist as well. And she pushed the textures and the hair way beyond what I was teaching because she has a lot of experience on that stuff. So absolutely you can do that. Okay,
Lela, did you talk about the time?
I did
The
not
time that is
define the
going to be the
time yet, but
lesson?
it would probably be I'm not sure about the time, but it would probably be 1 p.m. Pacific time, which is LA
Pacific
time.
time.
Yeah, Pacific.
Hmm.
So if you're in Brazil, that would be 5 p.m. If
Yes.
you in someplace else, I don't know where, it's a different time. you know. Annie said, would there be a chance to ask questions about portfolio reviews or job advice? 100%. Like if you guys ask Brooke as well, because she took my class recently. we talk about everything. Like we sit down and some people are like, hey, how is working in small studio? How it's working in big studio and this and that. We have all that stuff. Again, like we're gonna create I want only 8 students because I want this type of conversations to happen as well. So I don't want that stiff feeling of like, oh, 20 minutes next. Blah, blah, blah. It's fluid, you know. You're all gonna feel that you're getting to ask questions and all that good stuff. So yes, we'll do that.
Lela,
Wait,
Bambalela said, will the course cover technical parts of a proper clean portraits sculpting?
topology. Because we're dreaming, we're creating concepts. It's a more like a viz dev sculpt. Okay, so what's the difference between a viz dev sculpt? If you look at something like this, and I show you guys the wireframe, okay, this is not topology made by hand. This is topology generated by ZBrush. So is this production topology? No, not yet. We would have to fix some stuff or do from scratch something, okay? This is what we call topology for VizDev sculpting, right? It's for the portrait. It's almost imagine your portrait as an illustration,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Then you could have something like this model where you can see that topology is for production. I made this topology by hand. Okay, so you can see that the flow of things, it's planned. It's not automatically made by ZRemesh or by ZBrush. You have a flow, you have matching edges. All of this is topology for production. We will
Which
not have.
software have you done this thing?
I did
The
this one in Maya.
topology.
I
Maya.
read Maya. Yeah, I read topo in Maya. Um, the purpose of this class is to dream, is to design, is
Hmm.
to create. So we are not going to see technical things. Technical things you can do, pick 1 minute, 1 30 minute video on
To go
YouTube.
on internet, yeah,
Yeah, you go on YouTube and say
it's pretty
how to
easy.
make nice topology, and you learn. You don't need me
Yes.
for that. But to learn how to see, how to look for things, how to think about shapes, that is the price of the course. That's what is the core of anything you're going to make. Okay, so no, we'll not see technical things. We're going to do basic topology, like I showed, which is this one. We're going to do ZBrush topology. You can see that there is a certain nice flow. And I'm going to teach you guys how I make nice flows with using ZRemesher. But no, it's not production model. You can watch a video and make it into production model if you like. Cool. Um, we can make some basic UVs also in ZBrush. Again, not production UVs. We're doing VizDev UVs. We open some stuff. You can paint in Photoshop or 3D Substance Designer, whatever software you like. Okay. Okay, we're reaching an hour and a half here. Do we have Graham? The self portrait is so good. Yeah, this is my self portrait when I was a kid. I did this for
It's a
fun.
lovely model. Lela,
Wait,
do you use to create a lot of different expressions for your models?
yes, that's a great question. We will talk about expressions, okay?
Oh, that's
So,
nice.
expression is life.
Pablo Orioza said that. Yeah.
Great question. Like, we're gonna do some expression studies, okay? We're gonna talk about asymmetry of expressions, contract, expand. Those are very important concepts of expressions. Definitely for portraits, we need all that good stuff to be
Yes.
working, right? You can see here, even Raphael did a few different expressions. You can see this one is so much. I love this one so much. But yes, that's all the kind of stuff we're gonna make. Expressions are key for portraits. We can tell so much story doing different expression studies, right? All right. Does anyone has any more questions? Um,
That self portrait is so good, said Graham.
oh yeah, it's this one here.
It's a
Graham,
lovely model. It's very beautiful. I love everything in it.
I did this model on a
The
mentorship with
eyes,
Haley. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that one was
Oh, that's
a
lovely.
mentorship in Portuguese. I did this, which is supposed to be me as a kid, and I did
Oh,
my dogs. This dog
oh, lovely.
and this dog.
Oh,
Yeah. Graham, by the way, worked with me for a few years at DreamWorks. Amazing artist, and I learned so much from him as well. All right, Carol, any final questions there? Anyone has anything else? Do you guys get? I hope the lecture today was a little bit of a taste of what we where we can go in the class, and I really excited for it. I'm really excited because I love portraits, so I think we're gonna have so much fun doing it. Therese said, aside the ZBrush experience, is there anything else in particular you look for in application portfolio pieces?
good
Not
question.
for this course. Obviously, if you have some basics of anatomy, that's always nice. But I'm going to teach you guys everything you need beyond the basics of ZBrush. So,
Nice,
yeah.
nice.
So, if you just kind of like, I know the basics, I don't know anything else, totally fine. You're going to do amazing. Trust me. I've seen so many different levels of students just doing amazing things. Uh,
Lela,
mm,
Henderman asked, "Is there any point do you want to reach in the future of your art? Do you want to still
what
like to?" Mm,
I think for me is I don't like the feeling of not learning. I think
hmm.
what I hope for my future is always have the fire to learn, to continue growing and learning. Like I
Just
said,
keep walking on the street, right?
just keep swimming like Dory, right? Just keep swimming. So
Yes.
for me, I feel
Without
like
fixing your eyes in any point, right?
yes,
Just
exactly.
walking.
If you keep studying, things are going to happen. I
Yes.
truly believe that. I've
Yes.
seen the two cases, artists that are always studying and artists that get stagnant, and things are different. And because we all here, we are all artists, and we know that there is something raw inside of us that makes us look for art, that
Hmm.
makes us want to see something and draw and express and tell stories. And that comes from a place of very childlike. And
Hmm.
childlike is based on what is curiosity,
Hmm.
right? Right?
Yeah, everything in the world is new for a child,
Everything is
right?
new, everything can be seen in different angles. And I
Yes.
think the more you feed that inner child, the better artist, the more creative you will be. So a lot of my class also is just for us to think about the inner child that wants to say
Yes.
something, that wants to touch, that wants to copy, that wants have stuff to say. So I think what I want for my future, I don't know for my, it's just to keep studying, and I know that if I keep studying, my art will get better. It's just part of the process, right? Anything else? Hafa, do you want to say something about that? I know you have thoughts on that too about your career. You a lot. You think a lot, not as a production artist, but a true artist, in my opinion. Right? You do art for the sake of art, and the product it's a consequence of the love for the art. Right? Um. Yeah. I think that.
But when we match each other, I think when we met each other, it was in 2008, at least. And by the time I was very different. I think I used to see art in a kind of a wrong way a bit, I guess. When I met you and Rodrigo Bastos,
Mhm.
you know Rodrigo,
Yes, Rodrigo. Say.
I start to see art in a kind of different way, right? A different angle, focusing on the story I would like to tell, and as we said, and you see the way how I changed my
Yeah.
art in 10 years now, right? Yes.
Yes, there was a big me being your friend and being in this journey is part of your journey with you.
Mm-hmm.
there was a big moment where I saw Raphael, the perfectionist, that wanted everything in place, and then the Raphael, the storyteller.
The engineer
Yeah,
was a
the
kind of
engineer, the
engineer.
technical guy, let's call it, and then the storyteller that you let things flow. There is a stroke there, and that's fine, and things flow. That was a big moment. I remember when I saw, okay, he clicked. He's like telling his own stories, and your art just became, not that it wasn't good before, it was amazing before, but the soul, right? One thing is for you to do a likeness. Oh, it looks like someone. Yeah, but it feels kind of dead. But then there is the process of finding the soul of your character, which sometimes is not about perfection, copying the wrinkle here and here. It's about the feeling of the face of the person, of the concept, that you're able to translate that feeling to the model. And now this model has a soul, and you start putting soul into your work, and it was just like you became a god, for
No,
in my opinion, of like sculpting,
uh, I
so
don't think so. But thank you, thank you, thank you. But it was like a click. Yes.
yeah.
Someday just woke up and said, yeah, I want to try do something different.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's again, it's getting out of comfort zone, right? You were an
Yes.
amazing modeler before, you were an amazing artist, you're doing beautiful models, but you were like, where is the soul, where is the story, where I don't feel it, and then you have to try to find it, and you start looking for it, and you start feeling more and more, the more you do, you know um all right, I don't know if there's any final questions cut all over there. I think we're reaching the end here. um Guys, it's been a great an hour and a half with you all. I hope this little bit here sparks joy and dreaming on your hearts. Some could want to do the mentorship, or I just want you to have this information to start thinking, start trying to think in different ways that you've been thinking about your art. And I'm not saying that you were thinking the wrong way. I'm just trying to spark joy. Do you guys know Marie Kondo? Spark joy. So these are concepts that you're gonna start questioning, you're gonna get curious. How do I get soft, how do I get sharp, how do I get variations, all of these words here. I don't have it right now, but I used to have a post-it on my monitor with all these words, because I wanted to look all the time in front of me and remember those things too, so I can question in my process. So I highly recommend you guys, if you like post-its on your monitor, put that in.
Lela, during this kind of process, can we work? Is a question of Mars. Can we work as a kind of VizDev sculptor during
Yes.
that process?
So yes. So the process I'm gonna show you guys on this class is totally for VizDev sculpting. Great question here. We have one of my favorite artists as well, Michael DeFeo. Amazing VizDev sculptor. He didn't do production models. He was VizDev. So this is some of
Hmm.
the work he did for Life of Pets. This is completely VizDev. Doesn't have
Hmm.
proper topology. It's just about finding the character, finding
Is
the
that an
soul.
illustration, right?
Yeah, it's basically a 3D illustration that you can show to people and say, okay, yes, this is the character. That's the soul I want in my character.
Yes.
Okay. And Michael is amazing at that. He did a lot of work for Blue Sky. He did a lot of a physical sculpture as well. This one is a traditional clay and stuff. This one too.
Damn, he's
Uh,
good.
yeah, he's good at hell. Look at this one. How cool.
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful stuff.
Yes.
So yes, that would be the
And
skills for
reach.
VizDev sculpting. A VizDev sculptor, it's someone that is more a designer and less technical, right? And one thing I love to say is design takes time, takes pain. Technical stuff, oh, topology, UVs, you learn that stuff in a month. You sit down, watch a few videos, you do it a few times, you're done. But design, it never ends. It's for life. It's like studying anatomy. It never ends. The more layer you go, the more you gotta go deeper, and the more there's never ending for anatomy. There's never ending for design. Okay. Um. Yeah.
See the comment on the chat of Lucas Gomes. Oh, Lucas,
Lucas, how's it going? What's
the
the question?
brother. No, he said, "Oh, I just miss it. Sorry, I just arrived in the end, but just for a fact, Lala's mentorship was amazing. I
Oh,
highly recommend it.
thank you so much, Lucas.
I hope soon finish the model that she helped me to get into the design I was looking for."
That's right. Thank you, Lucas. Shane also is in the house, everybody. Shane. All right, Shane, one of the masters of stylized sculpting, right here with us. Thank you for coming, Shane. I'm shy now. Shane said, "Tech comes and goes, but art
Mhm.
skills stays with you forever." How are you, Leticia? I'm doing better now that you're here, my friend. Shane also has great mentorships. If you guys go to his website, amazing, endless amount of content. He is an amazing teacher, a great friend of mine. Highly recommend his class as well. You guys should definitely look. It's called 3D Character Workshop, I want to say. If you want to put your link there, Shane, for people to check it out, Shane is just another level, okay? That's a guy also that it's an amazing, amazing experienced teacher, all right? Great guy.
Nice, nice. And Shane said, "I highly endorse Leticia. You're
Oh, man.
fantastic."
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
All right. Okay. Any questions about the class? So we're good to close here. We can continue our philosophy here forever. But I know some places are very late, especially in Brazil. Um, yes. Anything else? I don't think so. Carol, anything? You're looking. All right. Again, Carol, if you could send the link for the form one more time. If you want to apply for the mentorship, the link, it's on the chat channel. I don't know. Where is the chat? Where is the link? Let me copy here for you guys. I don't know. Okay, so there you go. The form is there. Again, put your portfolio in there. I'm not judging your art. I just want to know if you know basics of ZBrush. All right, guys. It's not that hard. Don't feel like I'm looking. No. I just want to make sure you're gonna take the best out of this class. And to do that, you need to have some basic knowledge of ZBrush. And that's all I want to check on you guys. All right. And also get inspired by your art on your portfolio, of course. Okay, Brazil will just sleep when you sleep, Leticia. Thank you. Okay, well, I hope some of you apply. Again, I'm very excited for this one because I prepared a lot of the content already of the class, and I think it's gonna be awesome. And we're gonna do so much studying on the heads and storytelling and dreaming. So join me if you want. Um, That's about it. Any final words, Master Sensei Rafa? I'm gonna stop sharing here my screen so we can be big. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely, lovely, lovely. I love you, your art, and as your student that I was, that I'm still is. So lovely. Everything's gonna be I think fantastic.
Yeah. And for
You're
those of
very
you who
good. You're very good as a teacher and as an artist as well. And as a friend.
thank you, Rafa. And for those of you who don't know, Raphael also has mentorships and classes. Okay. So I think his name, I don't know if it's showing. Is it showing names here? I don't know. But anyways, Art. I'm gonna put here in the chat so you guys can see. Go follow him because this guy is no joke. Souza.art. Here it is.
Kind of a joke.
He is no joke, I'll tell you guys. It's like I like to say he's 1 in 10 million because yeah, that's how crazy he is as a artist and as a teacher. All
So,
right.
Lela,
What
what is the best way to keep up with your future mentorships? If we can do this one,
this one?
is
Follow me on
Antonio
Instagram,
that? Mhm.
and Kara now. For those of you who don't know, Kara is the new hot thing. So I'll be posting a lot of next mentorships and stuff on Instagram and Kara. So if you want to keep up with my stuff, I'm gonna put my handle here on the chat. So it's Leticia Gillett Art, and that handle is both for Kara and for Okada. I don't know how it's called, and for Instagram. Okay.
Shane Olsen said, "Final words. Learn from Leticia."
Thank you, Shane.
That's it.
All right, I'm gonna leave you guys with a something to think about. Okay, and this is a phrase that I love, and I want you guys to think about this before bed. Okay, you cannot control the wind, but you can adjust the sails. All right, be water. Right? If I want to
A
be like
rock.
water, right? Flow. You have something comes your way, you part and you shape to it and you move forward.
Yeah, Bruce Lee said that.
Precisely, exactly. And you can control the wind. The wind is just the force of life.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. Just chill. You can't control shit. All right. But you can adjust your sails. So if the wind is blowing a certain way, you can adjust it and flow with your path. The wind comes this way, you just adjust and keep going. Okay. So that's something that for us artists that we struggle with mental pains from life because we feel too much. That's something that I have as a post it on my monitor because I like to remember that I can't control shit. So I just have to adjust my sails as the wind blows. All right. I'm going to leave that for you guys to think about. And that's it. Have a good night. Thank you so much for coming. It was
My
so fun
pleasure.
to have you here.
My pleasure.
You are kind of like my comfy blanket. You know what
Mm,
that is? You know when you don't
cute. So
you
cute.
just want to have your favorite squishy toy, and that's Hoffa for me. He just
Mm,
makes me feel home, and I love you, and thank you so much for accepting being here with me and add value to this life as well.
love you too, my friend. My pleasure.
All right, bye everyone. Bye Willa, Alex, Yvonne, Natalia, everyone. Sleep well, make good choices, and drink
Willama.
water.
Willama is
Yeah,
here.
Willa tayo. Don't forget drink water, okay? And make good choices.
Oh, oh, nice.
Yes, I'm
Drinking
gonna drink
water.
as well. Everyone, raise your cup after this. All right, let's hydrate and dream. Bye, everyone. Bye, Rodrigo, Marcelo, Lucas. Bye, bye, bye. I'm gonna finish this. All right.
Bye
All right.
bye.
Bye.